In the video open.
Himani, you're there?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
We can start at sharp 4, right?
Yes, absolutely, ma'am. We'll begin sharp at 4 o'clock.
Right.
3 minutes by my watch.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Yeah. Very good evening to all the teachers. I would request everybody to keep connect to audio.
Grammar.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone.
Grammar.
I request everyone to keep their mics on mute. Cameras, if properly placed. Otherwise, you can turn off your cameras as well. We'll begin the session exactly in 2 minutes. All right. So good evening, everybody. It's exactly 4 o'clock by my watch. So we are good to begin with the session. I hope everybody is joined in. If anyone from your team is yet to join, I would request you to kindly intimate them to log in. So today we are doing a session on engaging classrooms, English language classrooms with storytelling. Storytelling, as all of us know, has been a very, very popular technique in teaching, not only for languages, but for every subject. But languages, storytelling holds a very special place since languages are taught through stories. A language development happens through stories. And when we teach with a method called storytelling, and the children are able to understand better, they're able to apply, use the language in a much better way because they get the functional approach, functional usage of the language is much better explained and demonstrated using storytelling. So with this, a little introduction, we have with us once again Ms. Sudha Ravi, who's been our mentor and trainer for the Commune since the inception of the Commune. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Ivani. Good evening to you all. So I'm going to start. Once upon a time, there lived a woman who had no children. She approached a great sage and begged him for the boon of a child. The sage took pity on her and told her to go to a mango tree close by, pluck one ripe fruit, and eat it. Then she would give birth to a son. The grateful woman prostrated before him and went to the tree to get a mango. When she looked up at the tree, she saw hundreds of ripe mangoes hanging in a big bunches from its branches. Her mouth watered. She thought, the sage said that if I ate one fruit, I would get one child. But there are so many mangoes here. He would hardly notice my taking one or two extra. Slowly, she climbed the tree and plucked 4 or 5 fruits. But by the time she came down, she was surprised to find only one fruit in her hand. Where had the other fruit gone? Had they fallen from her hands when she was coming down? She searched everywhere but could not find them. So she went up the tree once more and plucked 5 more fruits. This time she carefully bundled them in one corner of her sari and took care to see that not a single fruit fell out of the bundle. But when she opened her pallu after reaching the ground, she found only one fruit again. How and where had the mangoes disappeared? She was confused. the woman climbed the tree a third time. This time, she plucked 10 mangoes and tied them firmly to her pallu. Then she came down. Again, the same mystery. Of the 10, only one fruit remained tied in her pallu. She looked up at the tree and was amazed to see the 9 that she had plucked back hanging on the tree as before. It was then that the truth dawned upon her. She realized that the sage had granted only one fruit to her and that she should not try to get any more. One fruit and therefore only one son was all that she could have. She learnt to be satisfied with her lot and to stop craving for more. Good evening, all the teachers. So, what happened? Can you start typing on the chat?
We're active on the chat. We'll take it up from chat.
Yeah.
I'll request everybody to put yourselves on mute so that the session goes uninterrupted. I am muting everybody. Sudha ma'am, could you unmute yourself once again?
Okay, those of you who were here when I was narrating the story, can you please type your thoughts, what happened? Okay,
Greedy woman.
Saga Maria, that's fine. What happened as I was telling the story? We are not going into the values and all that as of now. What happened? What happened to all of you? Yes, anyone?
Listening.
Yes, realization.
We got interested.
Okay, you got interested. Yes. Anything else? Felt connected, curious. Yes. I was seeing the story in my mind.
They were waiting for the end.
Yes, waiting for the end. Anxious, imagining. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's how you feel when somebody tells you a story. Okay. Question number 2. Now, what is that in the story that stares at you? There are certain things that really stare at you. Okay. What are the things that stare at you? Okay, mango tree, fine. Mangoes, fine. Go to the language part. Go to the language part, giving you a clue. Giving you a clue. What will happen? Fine. Language. Any aspect of language that strikes. Listening, fine. Past tense, yes. Past tense, yes. Grammar, yes, Kausalya. Past, thank you. What else? What else? Yeah, tense already has been told. Anything else that comes out? So tense, intonation, okay, that was my narration. Correct. Nouns, okay. Vocabulary, sentence formation, all right. Stress patterns, that is how you tell the story. Fine. Simple language, okay. Opposite, phrases. What else? What else? Think more. Push yourself. Push yourself. Expression. What is it? What about, okay, I'm using a word, modulation, all that is fine, that is spoken part. What else? From the story, what happens? Punctuation, yes. Visualization, what else? What else? Think a bit, teachers, you're all English teachers. Moral values, fine. The person who is telling, fine. What else? What about the progression of the story? Yes, how it progresses, okay? How it moves, right? What comes next? Yes. What comes next? Decision making? Yes. It is a skill. Yeah, the plot, right. Okay. You will have to give me the co-host.
Avantika, can you do the needful? I think, ma'am, you already have the co-host rights.
Yeah,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right, Avantika. Thank you. Can you view the presentation, Avantika? Yes, can anyone confirm if they can view the presentation?
Ma'am, we can see your presentation. Yes, yes,
Okay.
ma'am, we can view the presentation.
All right, all right. Okay. So, storytelling as a tool in the language classroom. So, we are going to look at, I started with a story just as a little warm up activity to get all of you on the same page. Okay. So, the straight point that should come to every teacher's mind is, can I use a really short, see, it took me just 2 to 3 minutes. Can I use really a short story as a warm up to get the attention of all the children in my classroom? You might not be doing a story that day, you might be doing something else, but can I use the story as a little cute little story from the Panchatantra, right? From the Jataka tales, anywhere, even pick the newspaper, Sunday newspaper, at times it has cute little stories, okay, depending upon the class you are handling. Even with senior classes, mind you, you teachers can just go in and start narrating a story. You know what happened today morning as I was coming to the school? And everybody will start focusing on you. Their eyes will be all on you. Okay. So, storytelling can be used as an excellent warm up. That's what I demonstrated to you. Okay. It's a session on storytelling, but I demonstrated that that is possible using storytelling as a warm up. Okay. The magic of stories. Why are we so drawn to stories? Can you start typing in the chat box, please? Just start typing. Okay. We can't unmute everyone. So many of you are there. I see 350 plus people. Thank you for such joining in such large numbers and making the session a big success. I hope you all enjoy at the end of 1 hour. You all feel satisfied. Just start typing, please. Development of plot realization. Why are we drawn? We can relate to real life. Unable to listen. I think is everybody else able to listen? Avantika, Himani?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it's audible,
Then-
ma'am.
Yeah, fine. Then it is something to do with that individual. Okay, sensory perception, connection, yes. Somewhere close to reality, somewhere, even if it is not real. For example, this kind of a story. Okay, we are all adults here, so I can say that by eating a mango, you're not going to have babies. But yet, right, the part the sage plays, it's a Panchatantra, it's an old story. So the moral of the story, etc., etc., inquisitiveness have been used to educate. Yes, thank you for your responses. So that's why stories have a magic. Okay, there is magic when you tell stories. Okay, now there is a story on this slide. Please take your time. I'll give you about 3 minutes by the clock. It's 4:12 by my watch till 4:15. You shouldn't take that much time. If you're all English teachers, you should be finishing it in 1.5 minutes, is my take. But still, it's okay. Some of you are slow readers. As you finish, just put a thumbs up that you finished reading. so that I know? Savita P, you're not hearing. Check your audio, please. Everybody else can. I can see just 2 thumbs up. 3, 4. I just need to know, teachers, because I don't want to move to the next slide without you having read. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. Crazy, it's going, Himani. 421 people, huh? Amazing. Commune has that kind of a reach. Wow.
Yes, ma'am. And it's such
So
a pleasure. I think, Sudha, ma'am, all your sessions, people really look forward to all of them.
Thank you. God
We've
bless.
always had a very good number. That's why today I felt that Sudha ma'am's session doesn't need an introduction.
Thank you, dear. Thank you for being so gracious and so large-hearted. All right. Stories always have what? A beginning. Okay. 12-year-old Mihir was alone at home when the phone rang. Now, teachers, we are looking at storytelling from a language perspective. Please understand. Okay. So I read a story. We'll try to talk about its beginning, middle, and ending. But yeah, every story has a beginning. Okay. Then there is the middle part. After a while, the doorbell rang. Ending, neighbors came to help and found man trying to enter Meher's house. So climax, anti-climax. There's beginning, there is a middle, and there is an ending. And this is one of the reasons why everybody likes stories. When somebody tells you, then also you love listening. You just become a, still, and your eyes pop out and you keep looking at the person. What is he going to say next? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? That's what serials do to us, web series. Why do we binge watch 8 episodes? I know people sit and watch all the 8 episodes on a Sunday. Okay. They just sit in front of the television, Netflix, Prime Video, and you watch all the episodes. It is the power of storytelling. So just start connecting these things with real life. In real life, you are always doing that. You are getting hooked to stories. There are stories you get hooked to, and there are also stories you don't get hooked to. Okay, that we'll see later, why that happens. When you're watching, there are many other reasons. The acting, what happens to the plot, very loose, suddenly it loses steam. So many things are there. But at a very, very basic level, when you're dealing with children, okay, we need to teach this to children. Why did we choose this topic today? I want you to understand that when you give a structure to the children, okay, and you help them develop their stories, either in the spoken form or written form, they will do it. They may not be very creative. Every child may not be creative. How many of us are creative? Okay, that apart. But the structure, that there is a beginning, there is a middle, and there is an ending, teaches them the art of cogent thinking, coherence and fluency. Please make note. It teaches them to be coherent. It teaches them to be fluent. You are moving from step 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. You could also start with the ending and then go and, take them to the past. So many movies, what we watch, so many stories we read. Also, there is a technique where they keep going back and forth, right? They will be in the present, then suddenly they'll go into the past. Okay. Many authors use that technique. Arundhati Roy was the first person who made that technique very popular. Okay. Stories going back and forth. Now, there's another story. Okay. Yes, please. Take your time, 2 minutes this time, and read it. Yes, same way. Just post it in the chat as you finish reading. Great. So you people are reading faster. See? It's taking lesser time this time. All right. I'm not going to read it for you. I want all of you to read it to yourself. There's a joy in reading to yourself also. But that is what we have to develop among students, the joy of reading. Let's not constantly keep thinking about syllabus completion. This is also part of syllabus completion. When it comes to language, when you use storytelling as a technique, they are learning language skills. Okay. So, now what happened in the previous story? See, here also you find what Priya probably is driving a car. She sees a youngster. She sees a bike coming. So, which part of the story is the beginning here? Can you start typing on the chat box? For this story, let us identify the beginning, please. Quickly, can you type in short phrases? Priya was driving a car, okay. What is the middle part? Priya was driving a car, okay. Let's go to the next, please. Middle part of the story. Boy being busy on the phone, okay. What else? What else is the middle? A biker, right? And final? Final? What's the final part? Priya helping to take the boy to the hospital. Yes. And what else happened? What else happened as part of the final thing? Is there any learning? Is there any learning? Realizing his mistake. Yes. Realization that he shouldn't use the phone. Now, this story, so short, can be used with any class 5 onwards, till up to class 12. Okay. It's the way you say it. It's the way you narrate the story. And you see, when as teachers, we start telling them, you shouldn't drive your bike fast. You shouldn't use your phone while walking on the road. You shouldn't be talking. You shouldn't be messaging. All this sounds like sermonizing. It appears to them that you are always sermonizing to them. You are giving instructions. You are just telling them rules all the time. As a teacher, you are only doing that. So you lose that, you your word doesn't have that effect. You keep saying, I will keep doing what I'm doing. Okay? That becomes the kind of attitude they develop. But instead, you just go into the class, either you start with a story or you end your class with a story. Consciously keep last 5 to 7 minutes. When you make your lesson plan, ensure that you are left with 5 to 7 minutes, where every day, or at least 2 to 3 days in a week, end your class with a little thumping story, which gives you so much of understanding, so much of realization, such a big lesson. But see, the words so simple, nothing tough, right? But there is a progression. The progression part is what you can get out of students. Ask them what is happening. There is something that happens first. Teach them progression. Then something that happens next. And then something else happens. And finally, so you can teach them these markers. You can teach them cohesive devices. You can teach them discourse markers, progressing from stage to stage to stage. So when you ask them to write a story and you tell them these are the aspects of story writing, it will seem as a very simple, easy to do exercise. Okay. And they will get onto that whole writing. So they will not only understand and appreciate that they have to go in a progressive manner, they will understand that you have to use past tense. The whole grammar of the language can actually be taught using a story. You don't have to put on the board all the time, go becomes went, walk becomes walked. You can give them an exercise saying, underline all the verbs. In the previous story, everything was past tense. Was driving, okay? Which is, what tense is it? It's past progressive, past continuous, okay? So, then
There's a
ask
very
them,
interesting
huh?
there's a very interesting question in the chat box. Somebody's asking, how can you say morals or explain morals to the students without using don't?
Okay. Thank you for the question. No, you can do that by asking them, what do you learn from this story? What do you learn from this story? Why do you think the boy got admitted in the hospital? Did he do the right thing? Ask thought-provoking questions. Can this happen to all of us? Bring yourself also in the mix. Can this happen to any of us if we are careless on the road? So put it in different ways. That is why language gives you that scope, gives you that freedom, isn't it? It gives you that space to use language. So we are all language teachers. So use it in the best way. Can we do this? Do you think this boy could have saved himself? What do you think he could have done? So he shouldn't have crossed, right? So what should we do? Make them say it. Don't ask them, don't do this. You also should not do like the boy, okay? Okay, for this boy, there was some person like Priya. So don't do. So we tell you the right things, teachers and parents. That is sermonizing. Don't do it. I gave you so many ways of getting that response. Hope that answers your question. So, story starters. Every story has a starting. Once upon a time, every day, until one day, long ago. I have put only 3 here. Long ago, if you want to talk about the past. there lived, once upon a time, there lived. So the previous story which I read out, the mango story, it said once upon a time, correct? So children learn how to start a story. These are called story starters. Once you start doing this in your classroom, then you can put on the board and ask them, tell me something. How have I been starting the stories? They will tell you, ma'am, you always start the story by saying, once upon a time. You always do this. Did I start all the stories with once upon a time? No, ma'am. Any other word that I used? Any other phrase I used? So this can be an interesting exchange, conversation in the classroom. After storytelling happens, you can have a short conversation around the story and engage the students. So students get engaged. If you do this for about 5 minutes in the beginning, don't have to get too much. Don't, again, as I said, don't sermonize. Once you do stories, they will start thinking, hey, what happened? This boy could have avoided. So this can happen to anyone. I must be careful. In future, I should also take care that I don't do this. Right? So they will start analyzing. They will start thinking. Critical thinking will happen automatically. Okay? So when you ask them, I started the story with once upon a time. What else did I use? Long ago. So ask them to engage. So one day you can tell a story and you can just do story starters as a warm-up activity and leave it there. And then say, okay, now take out your books, go to so and so page number. And suppose that day it so happens you're doing a story again as the main lesson. Ma'am, here also it starts as once upon a time. But ma'am, here it starts like this. So yes, that is also a way to start a story. So you are triggering their thought process. You are making them thinking individuals. You are making them thinking people. Please understand. So many things can be done. Okay. Now, you can also do this. You can have first a part A activity. Depends, as I said, how do you want to use it? Suppose it's an activity period. Many schools have these days, they have something called as an activity period. And as an English teacher, if you are in charge of that activity period, you can do this. Identify who or is or are the main characters and why do we care about them? Can anybody answer the second part? See what happens when you read a story, you start getting so involved. You either become Priya or you become the boy. And you start immediately, feeling bad. You become angry with the biker. All that happens. Why do we care about them? No, we don't know, Kausalya. Is it a village or is it a city? Okay. The question is the second part of the first question, which says, why do we care about them? It's just a story. Why do we start caring about them? Yes?
We relate to ourselves, fellow human being, for safety.
Yes. Fellow human being, safety, kind heart. Exactly. We either start telling ourselves, am I like Priya? Would I have done this if I had been in Priya's place? Yes, because we start identifying with them. Excellent. So, connectivity, we start connecting with them. Okay. At the end of the day, all of us are human beings. That connection starts happening. How do we learn what type of story it is? Is it a sad story? Is it a happy ending? Right? All those things come out. Is it a story which has got a moral? Some stories are just stories. Every story doesn't have to have a moral. Again, teachers, please. understand this, okay? Every story, there could just be a story, okay? Generally, stories have a takeaway, a moral, but there could be something which is not a story also, okay? Which doesn't have a moral, sorry, okay? What is the inciting incident in this story, particularly the Priya story? What is the part that makes you, incites you, makes you, angry? Which part? Which part? Yes. Let us see the chat box. The careless boy, good messages. Boy being so careless, that irritates you, that makes you angry. Okay. Boy using the phone, carelessness. Okay. Annie says the biker. See?
Bike.
Yeah. So what is happening here? There are two things that are coming out. What is, how do we learn? What is the inciting incident? The inciting incident here is the biker hitting the boy. Okay. What triggers, what provokes you is the biker hitting the boy. That's the first thing that hits you, isn't it? Then later on, you start telling yourself, no, the boy was wrong. Why should he have been reading the phone? Why did he do that? All those things come up. But later, that all analysis happens later. But initially, the incident where the biker hits the boy and the boy falls down is what is the trigger, the inciting part of the story. Now, this part A, identification, this kind of an activity, you can do with class 6 above. 6, 7, 8, they will be able to get into a discussion like this. Okay, so see, teachers, understand one thing. The same story can be told to a class 4 child, and you plan activities according to their level. With a class 6, 7, 8, you plan. So this is a kind of a lesson plan actually of a story. So even in your course book, even in the text you are teaching, if it is a story, can you do like this? Can you break it and, try analyzing the story, help the students analyze it. You don't get into the mode of explaining the story. What did I do? First, I read, then I made you read. Did I explain the story line by line? The whole beauty, the excitement of reading a story gets lost when you do that. Just let students enjoy. Either you narrate a story and then ask questions. Don't get into, did they understand? How will they have? Let them ask. If they didn't understand, let them ask. Anju Sharma is raising her hand. Himani, look into her question. We can take it up later.
Yeah, Anjumam, we'll come back to you towards the end of the session. Yeah, thank you.
What or who is the antagonist? Antagonist? The negative character. Okay. Is it obviously the biker? Okay. Everybody would divide it. The biker not pay attention. He's an adult. He should also have not been riding so fast. It's a road. People are walking. So see, all this will come from students. Believe me. They read it in civics also. Civic sense. Road crossing. How should driving be done? You can connect it to civics here. So language teachers are teachers of all subjects, jack of all, master of one, master of the language, but you should know how you can connect. Civic sense, how you drive on the road. Is rash driving allowed in the city? Is driving on the road right in the city? Okay, so you can just take it to any level depending upon how much you want to play around, which class you are using this story with. Such a simple story, but so much comes out. Even in the Mihir story, so many things. Presence of mind of Mihir, how he did not panic and open. He thought. So thinking skills. Immediately he took his phone, called his neighbor uncle. So the advantage of having mobile phone, immediately being able to call. you can have a group discussion post the story. Okay, if you're doing it in an activity period, you can tell the story, you can have some part A, identify kind of thing, then you can have a group discussion, divide them into groups, ask them to discuss the story. Okay, so now part A, you have put down the question, then part B, ask students to find answers. So it can be done. Here I am telling you, but in the classroom, do it as an activity. Sandhya Rathore is also raising. I hope somebody is making note of these questions so that we can take it up later.
Ma'am, we'll take them up. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Himani. Okay. Now you look at this again. Priya was driving when, okay, I forgot to underline, when she saw a teenager crossing the road just ahead of her. The boy was engrossed in his cell phone and was hardly looking at where he was going. When? Where? He might have an accident any moment, thought Priya to herself. Just then, a bike coming from the other side knocked the teenager down. Just then. Make a note, okay? The biker had been traveling quite fast. So, adverb and adjective, quite fast, and had not been able to brake on time. So, this one line itself can give you so much of discussion. Okay, fast driving. So, is it a good habit? You can't brake. Okay, the boy had been busy with his phone and he did not see the motorcycle. The boy seemed to have broken his leg and was in great pain. Let me take you to the hospital, offered Priya. As she drove, the boy said, "Thank you for being so kind. So sorry." So, you can give the story again, and depending upon what you want to teach, WH words, these are relative pronouns here. Okay, when, where he was going. These are not question words here, isn't it? So, what is the function depending upon the class which you are using the story for? Okay, adjectives, adverbs, multiple aspects of language can be. So, one story, sit, think through, decide what is it that you want to highlight. Okay, see, grammar items that can be taken up, simple past, direct, indirect speech.
Sudham,
Yeah. So these are the items that we can teach them. Simple past tense, direct, indirect speech. Okay, very clearly, these are shouting. They keep coming out, isn't it? You can see them, right? Then you can have activities like this. What is the goal of the main character or characters? What, if any, is the turning point when the character learns something and changes? So, what do you think this boy learned? He learned that phones should not be used. We should not be reading the messages while crossing the road, at least. Okay. And how do you think? Will he do this again in the future? Will he remember having, broken his leg and so on and so forth? All that will happen. So, what, if any, is the turning point? Again, for middle school, class 6 upwards, what is the low point of the story? When the boy falls and hurts himself. What did the character learn by the end of the story? Values that the story brings out. Okay, so multiple things that come out. But what is the goal of the main character? Same way as the language teacher, what is your goal behind taking up this story? Okay, that should be your focus. English teachers should always use stories. They are really good. You might find your class on a particular day is very restless. Children are talking, they are shouting. Maybe they have just now come from a games period. Okay. And they're all sweating, looking tired. It's the second half of the day, close to the end of the day, 7th period, 6th period. Just once upon a time, just do that and start narrating. And you will see a major shift. So, excellent technique for classroom management to get the attention of your students. Teachers keep asking me, how can we manage? How can we manage? Best. But for that, as teachers, you have to have stories in your kitty. An English teacher should always have stories in her kitty. Okay. So, best way. So, when we take up such questions in the class, there is a lot of discussions that happen around it, right? Part C. So, there is a part C to it also, if you want. See how much you can extend one Priya story, which was probably just 12 sentences, 12 to 14. What was the crisis? What was the crisis? The boy fell, he hurt, he broke his leg. Was the crisis. How is it resolved? Priya was suspicious. She was wondering, so she was waiting probably. She was there. So it was resolved when Priya took the boy to the hospital. How does the main character demonstrate that they learned what they needed? What did he do? What did the boy do? He said sorry. No, he said sorry to Priya. Okay. What is the theme? So, like this, you can break the story. Part A, identify the characters. Okay. So, they get into act. You can make them into groups and say, now, first tell me who are the characters. Okay. Discuss. Put it down. So, it can be first you narrate, which means listening is happening. So, their listening skill is getting sharpened. Then you put them into groups and you get them into a speaking activity, which means spoken language is being developed. Then in spoken, you give them 2 or 3 aspects. You say, identify the main characters, identify the grammar item, the tense which you find most in this particular story, identify, underline, make a list. What other grammar item can you see? Make a list. As I said, depending upon the class that you are using the story for, you can keep pushing the limit. Okay. And then part B and part C. Okay. So, okay. So now I really don't know, Himani. I thought of it, but I really don't know how am I going to do it. I can see 500 participants sitting in the and still people are entering. Imagine 4 o'clock is the program. That is too much, huh?
That is so true, ma'am. I still have a lot of people entering and dropping out at the same time, but then 500 is maintained. I'm running a full house today.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Probably you can't, your occupancy is 500, right?
Yes,
So, okay.
I'm running a full house.
Yeah. So, this is the first line, teachers. In a jungle, there lived 4 animals: the crow, the rabbit, the tortoise, and a monkey. That's all I'm giving you. So, start adding sentences.
Let's see. Whoever is able to add, don't give me individual sentences, but whoever is able to give me 4 sentences in the one go.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good idea. Thank you, Himani.
All 4 sentences, including the first one. So I see here it says +1, +2, +3.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're able to give me a full story with 4 sentences in one go, not one by one, Neha ma'am, all 4 sentences together. We'll wait for that one entry, and then I
I
sure
hope you're
I
all
have
listening. You're all listening. Himani
I have
says,
a gift for
write
that.
3 sentences.
All 5 sentences together, all 4 sentences together, and
Right.
one entry with one answer with all 4 sentences. And that first entry, I have a prize. I will get it couriered. I am at on the chat box now. Not one sentence at a time.
Not one, 4, all 4.
All
Oh
4
God, they
sentences.
don't listen to you.
They don't listen to me. They only listen to you, ma'am.
Jyoti Kohli, even that is not, that's only 2 sentences.
All four. Okay. Edumon Mandeep. They all live together and help each other. One day they all go to different directions in search of food. All of them came back in the evening before the sunset.
Okay, okay.
So not bad. Edumon Mandeep. Okay.
Then Sita, they were friends planning for a holiday trip. Once there was the moment Himani said there's a prize, and you see how it goes. Wow.
Planning for a holiday trip, crows chest, seashore, rabbits chest, travel to.
No.
That's also.
In a forest, they lived 4 friends. They met each other under the tree every evening. The 4 animals each. Okay, Kausalya has given a long answer.
I think Sharmila Sharma,
Yeah.
Benchita V, and Edumon Mandeep.
Great. Okay.
Amazing.
Thank you for being such a sport and participating in the activity. See what it did to you. We can't even see each other. You can probably see me,
Yes.
but yeah. But see, we are able to do it so effectively. You all are so engaged. You all are so up, quick on the uptake. So that is what storytelling does to you. So imagine what it can do. Now look at this flow chart. So you can do this activity later. When I completed college, few years after that, at present, then, in future, I will. So see,
So this is like a mind map.
these are all language markers. These all help you take the story from one to the next. The fluency, cohesion, progression. When later, few years after that, at present, then, in future. Okay, so you can even do this once you do a story activity. So whatever story is there in your course book, okay, you can convert it like this and give it to them and ask them to fill in the blanks. So they are learning the progression of the story. They are seeing that in the flow chart format, how, so you can summarize it. This is a very good way to summarize a story. Okay, there are 15, 20 sentences, but you have brought it down. So they learn the technique of summarizing as well with this kind of a activity. So we can use it for teaching fluency and coherence, fluency markers, okay, teaching grammar, and developing students' imagination and creativity. Okay. What is creativity? Creativity is equal to knowledge. You already have the knowledge as language teachers. There is an imagination component and there is a judgment component. So beautifully put, isn't it? So if you want to develop the creativity, then you should know these 3 elements. Okay. Stories enthrall us. All right. So they make us feel. What is enthrall? What do you feel? How do you feel when you read a story? Or somebody tells a story? How did you feel today? How did you feel today? As I was telling you stories, as you were reading.
Mesmerizes.
Huh?
Mesmerizes, thrilled, joyful and attentive,
Yes.
knowledgeable, very excited.
Yes, thrilled. We feel part of the story. Active listening happens. So
excited.
Yeah. So subjects such as history can be made interesting using stories. Imagine if some of you are teaching English and social, for example. Okay. You can always start a history lesson by saying, once upon a time, during the Gupta period, there lived a king, Vikramaditya, and continue. And whatever he did, you convert it into part of the story. During his time, people were very happy because he did this for the people. Everybody was prosperous. Okay, the farmers were happy because there was so much of produce. They were able to sell. So these are the points. Now, when you give it as a question and you have taught, you know what happened during Vikramaditya's period, these things. The children also tend to rote memorize all that, which doesn't make sense. But if you tell them as a story, they will remember. So stories tend to hold the attention of the listener. And that's what happened to all of you. Now, what are the elements when I told the story and when I asked you initially, many of you said these things. Voice modulation. So you are all language teachers. You should practice. If you're good, very good. But if you think you need improvement, practice. Read the story. Be familiar. Then you don't even have to read it. You can just go and narrate it in the class. See, you have read it in some book, word by word. It doesn't have to be from that book, na? You internalize that story and you say, once upon a time, in a village, there lived a woman. She didn't have any children. One day, she went to a sage and asked him what she should do. Prostrated before him and asked for help. Now, asked for help is not there in the story. I purposefully introduced it just to tell you that once you know the story, no need to read. Just tell the story. Get the feel. When you don't have anything, they will also develop that art of storytelling. Okay. Body language, how you use your hands, your eyes, how you bring out the facial expression, and of course the content. And see, if you see, I've put content at the last. A really boring story can be made interesting by the way you tell the story. Okay. For example, class 12, when those days when I used to teach, there was a lesson called Indigo about Gandhiji's Champaran movement. Very boring, dry lesson. You know how that Champaran Satyagraha happened, etc. So I read the lesson, and I had been also a student of history. I just told it to them as a story. I said, you know what happened during the independence movement? So many things our great leaders did, which were part of the whole independence movement. Little things. How they protested, how they stood up, even though they were beaten up. So, you build that. Now, all this is not there in that. How Gandhiji went to Champaran. Would you like to know where Champaran is? So, and then I told them, open page number so and so. Now, they are class 12 students, okay? So, I do silent reading. So, they did. Opening the book, going line by line, explaining, that's the last thing a language teacher should do, which shows that we are not confident. This whole thing of the book is a tool in your hand. The lesson has a certain element. If it is a story, it has certain elements, certain things which by the end of the lesson, the child should know. That is what is our job as teachers. Okay. Make your class interesting by using this enthralling and captivating technique. I don't know why it says, I think, yeah.
So anybody has any questions? Anju ma'am, you had a question?
Yeah. We can take a few questions.
Anju ma'am, can you raise your hand? Okay, I'm allowing you to unmute. Anju ma'am, you can unmute and ask.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks a lot for taking my question. Good evening, everyone. And thank you so much for taking my question. Ma'am, no doubt your session was really very enlightening. Every time when we are hearing from such knowledgeable persons, it is always a great takeaway. My question is this, that you have already said that, there is no need to read, there is no need recite the whole chapter, sentence by sentence, while reciting a story in the classroom. That is
Correct.
absolutely fine. But does it go with other subject like history and civics too? Especially in history cases, like if we are telling them the whole paragraph,
Mhm.
I can say that might be it is out of the context because here we are only talking about English, but I
No,
am
that's
just
okay.
teaching.
That's okay.
That
That's
is right, right. So, ma'am, when we are teaching history, because sometimes the children they really feel very bored, and that you have already said that it is might be the
What's your
lecturer.
question, Anju? What's your question?
My
Let's come to the
question
question.
is this: that when we are reading the history topics to them, then
Mhm.
shall we tell imply the same rule there also?
No, no.
Okay,
So I have got your question. I know what is bothering you. So look,
yes,
you didn't listen to the second part, I think, when I told that you can use the same technique in history. See,
yeah,
as a teacher, you read the lesson, narrate it as a story to them. Okay.
yes,
Then once the crux of that particular history lesson
Understand.
has been told to them, then you read the lesson or ask them to read the lesson. No
yes.
harm at all. Lesson has to be read. Okay. See, I am not advocating don't read. Please don't get me wrong. I said,
Okay.
yeah, I said multiple ways of using storytelling. Right from the beginning, I demonstrated. I said, first, use it. You can use it as a warm up. Then the story that you are teaching, if you are an English teacher, that you are teaching, that itself, you can do it as a storytelling activity. Okay. All that is possible. And I gave when I said civics, okay, then if it is a set of rules, then you can start with a question. You can ask, what will happen in this situation? What do you think we should do? If we are all living in a community, what are the rules we should follow? So make it a question answer. What happens, what happened in my building, this is what happened. Give them real time situations, and then say, let us read the lesson and see what are the what are the rules that we need to follow. Let us see whether we have talked about all the rules. Then bring them, use the story as a little warm up, and then go to the actual lesson. Okay. I hope that.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
you're welcome. Attendance link, already people are asking. Okay.
Yes, teachers, we will be sharing the attendance of the feedback link. In the meanwhile, there was another teacher who raised her
Yeah.
hand. We just have time for one more question.
Yeah.
So just in case, if that question is still there, it's not been answered, else we let ma'am go.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
Thank
teachers,
you.
is there another question? All right. So I
Okay.
think thank you so much. We'll be sharing the feedback form and the attendance link. I just would like to discuss something with you before
Okay.
that.
Okay. So I'm
Okay.
leaving.
Thank you so much, Sudha ma'am. Thank you so much for such an engaging session. I'm sure the teachers enjoyed it. We
Yeah.
can see the participation and the attendance maintained throughout
Yeah.
the session
Yeah.
for
I know.
500. So I'm very happy to say that everybody was engaged in the session.
Yeah.
So
Thank
a
you.
rather engaging session for engaging the classroom.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. You can continue with the teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Teachers, we meet each other after a very long time. So those who know me, hi, I'm Himani. And those who don't me, again, I'm Himani Mittal. I'm heading marketing for Madhuban Educational Books. And I'm very happy to see such an active participation in the commune. Today, I wanted to discuss with you something that with the commune session, we would like to begin with a podcast. Now, this podcast, I would like that is by the teachers of commune. So when I say a podcast, I'm sure a lot of you understand, but for the rest, a podcast is an audio. This is a video session. I would like all my teachers with each other more than a year. So if you're to create a podcast on your own or be a part of it, this will be completely a podcast by the teachers. I will not have mentors. I know my teachers here and the commune are extremely good. You can pick up any language teaching topic, any grammar topic, anything. and you can create a short podcast, share it with me. You can, I'm there in the group. You can take my number from there. You can share it personally with me. We'll share a creative with you with an email ID. You can share it on our email addresses as well. So wherever you're comfortable, just shoot it on your phone and send it to us. So you can send it to me. You can send it to Avantika. Avantika's number in the group shows as MBN broadcast, or if you've saved that number, Avantika can share that number also. Avantika, if you can share the number in the chat box. Yes.
Yes, I'm
So all the
sharing that.
teachers who are not in the group, if you're not in the group, the number that Avantika shares, please send a message to that number. We'll add you to the group. Is my voice not audible, Avantika?
Ma'am, your voice is breaking actually. Must be very clear.
Okay. Okay. Let me just change my location. Is it a little better now? Is it any better, Avantika, now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So teachers, once again, we would like to begin a podcast with all our Commune teachers. So if you can create a podcast, that's a short audio, any kind of an interesting audio that you have for teaching a particular topic, an anecdote that you have of classroom management, anything related to teaching of languages, even better, teaching in general, again acceptable. Send it to me, send it to Avantika, send it to us in the group, connect with us. We'll give you an email ID if you would like to share it on an email ID. And once we have sufficient enough good numbers, let's say about 10 to 15 podcasts if I get, we'll begin with a podcast channel and we'll try to make it as large as possible, even take it at a national level. So, but we need your support. Do tell me, how do you like this idea? Give me some thumbs up to say, does it sound like an interesting idea or no? You can give me a thumbs down also. I'm okay with that. At the end of the day, Commune is a family. So do you think this is a good idea? A few thumbs up or thumbs down? Either ways. Okay, I've gotten a few. Okay. So I'm waiting. Then I'm looking forward to some podcasts. I'll wait for some podcasts to come to me, and it could be short, it could be long. We'll cut them. We'll discuss with you. We'll talk to you. We'll keep in touch with you. We'll cut them. We'll add you to our podcaster, and have a new profile as a podcaster. Why just be a teacher? Why not be a podcaster as well? So thank you so much. So this was something that I wanted to discuss with you. There are a few more interesting things we'll keep posting in the group. We have two groups today running on Commune 1 and Commune 2, both the same. So yes, please send us your messages on this number 78278-01827. We'll add you into the group, and I'll try, and I'll also, Avantika, if you can keep a record of the chat box here and
Yes,
send
ma'am.
messages to all the numbers. We have that, so we'll add all of you. Rest assured, we'll add all of you. Have you shared the feedback link, Avantika?
No, ma'am. Sharing it right now.
So now we're sharing so attendance link, we are sharing the feedback link with you. Once you share your feedback, you'll get the certificate. Please allow till Monday. After this session, we also go on our weekend. So none of us are available for Saturday, Sunday. And we'll come back on Monday in case you've not received your certificate. But 99% you should receive it after some time in your mailbox. If not, we'll take it up on Monday. There were a large participant on this session. We had more than 500 teachers. So it is possible that the Google also hangs at times and it's not able to send all 500 certificates at one go. So allow it till Monday. If not, we are there. We'll help you out with your certificates. Not to worry at all. Okay. Right. The feedback link has been shared. You can click on it so that it's saved. I'll wait for a minute. All right. And then this note, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Looking forward to some podcasts from you. And if you have any query regarding that, please do send us a message. I'm Himani Mittal. And on the number that has been shared, 78270, I think, Avantika shared that. You can reach out to Avantika also. So both of us will be able to help you in whatever capacity you want us to help you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Avantika. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you, teachers. Thank you. Please send us your message. We'll add you to the group also on the number. Thank you, teachers.